So the Switch 2 sales numbers came in. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, 3.5 million units right off the bat, man. Like, I think somebody said it was the fastest selling console of all time. Nintendo said it was the fastest selling Nintendo console. I don't know if it's the fastest selling console of all time, but I'm actually quite surprised because they actually handled the launch pretty well. It was actually not super hard to get one. I mean, especially if you compare it to like the PS5 or even the Nintendo Switch 1 launch,
Yeah.
where they were pretty tough to get. And don't even talk to me about the Nintendo Wii launch. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've been permanently traumatized from that one for sure.
But yeah, all things considered, I think it went pretty well for them. Maybe they had planned this
Right.
a little bit. Maybe like they had been producing units for a long time. Maybe this probably could have come out a while
Oh,
back.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think that's true. Did I ever tell you guys the Wii story that I had on this podcast? I don't
I
think
haven't heard
so.
a Wii
No, I don't
story.
think so.
So when the Wii came out, that Christmas, I got a little note from my parents that said basically, "We promise we'll get you the Wii as soon as we can find one. Merry
Yeah,
Christmas," right?
Ah,
I see that.
Um, and so I called the local GameStop every single day for, I don't know, call it 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. And the guy, about 3 weeks in, 3 or 4 weeks in, the guy finally goes, we don't have the shipments in yet. We get them at like 1 p.m. So if you come, we'll we'll let you know." So we're like, "Okay, we're gonna we're gonna go." So we went at around 1, or maybe it was 11, something like that, some lunchtime around then, and the shipment was late. And so the guy was like, "You know what? I'll tell you what. You guys have been so patient. I know you've been calling every single day. So if they come in, like, you guys go get lunch, and if they come in and we have some, I will save one for you. But you can't tell anybody. I'll give you a call. Give me your phone number. Go get lunch, and we'll see what happens." Oh, look at that, nice and early. Uh, so we went to this place called Del Taco. Shout outs to Del
Del
Taco in
Taco, let's
yeah,
California.
Del
go. I
Taco.
love Del
Uh,
Taco, dude.
Love the
yeah, so
taco.
good.
Ah,
Um, that's right. And we got a call. They got one in. We went into the store and we walk in. There's probably like 4 or 5 people walking around the GameStop. And we walk right up to the register. He pulls it out from behind the counter and sets it in front of him. And immediately the entire store turns and is just glaring at us. And we like purchased it very quickly and like scuttled out of there as fast as possible. And that's how we like happened to get the Wii. But it was insane trying to get one of those things, and people were crazy trying to get those things.
yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, those wild moments where you're like, "Oh, that's a dad. He shouldn't be like that, right?" But oh no, he's grumpy that little Timmy didn't get that Wii, and this kid did instead. So that's my Wii story, and
It's a
now I'm
good one.
traumatized forever when it comes to launches.
Yeah, I feel you. What about you, Tay? I know that me and Brandon, we got the Switch 2 at launch. I know you're holding off a bit. What are your thoughts about all the conversations around the Switch 2 right now?
Well, about the I think one of the biggest conversations is like people were saying, "Oh, it doesn't feel like a console launch. It's not going to do that well," and then it being, allegedly the best console launch ever is surprising to me, considering the lineup doesn't have that many exclusives. I mean, Mario Kart's a pretty good launch game,
Yeah.
um, but still, like I guess I'm really surprised, and maybe the high adoption is like I want to get off the stinky Switch as fast as possible because that thing feels so old now.
Yeah.
Like even my girlfriend, like she plays games. She's not like as into them as we are, but she plays games. Like she was playing Monster Hunter Stories 2, and she's like, like I was telling her about Rune Factory, and she's like, I don't want to play it on the Switch though. The graphics aren't very good. I'm like, I know.
Yeah. They are
So
rough. They are rough.
yeah.
Yeah,
So even like a casual gamer like can notice that it's feeling chuggy and old and bad. So maybe the adoption is just simply like I just want to play all my old Switch games, but they're going to run better now on the new Switch, and that's all I really care about, which would make sense. And what I want to see are the Mario Kart numbers, like how many copies it sold, because for as much guff as people were giving Nintendo for $80, I wonder if how many people ponied up and paid that.
I'm
So
telling
I'm
you,
ready.
man. I'm telling you, man, like there's going to be a crazy attach rate for Mario Kart. Like I don't care. This is the
Yep.
thing about all of this like all of this conversation online is so much of it is just smoke and mirrors and people wanting clout and people wanting to say certain things. And then, you know, how many people on Twitter did you see who were complaining about the Switch being like, I got a Switch too? It's like, yeah, we knew you were going to get a Switch too, right? Or people who are dogging on the Switch too, still trying to find a way to be a part of the conversation. Like it's just people wanted the Switch too. There didn't have to be a huge exclusive lineup at the beginning. Mario Kart is incredible, and it's the type of game that's going to sell a console, number one. But like everybody who loves the Switch and has adopted the Switch has been saying for like 3 years now, we want another Switch just better. Just give us a better version of the Switch. That's why the Switch Pro rumors were all, you know, fired up and everybody was excited about that. We just wanted the same concept just better, and that's exactly what the Switch 2 delivers. So yeah, if you can get one, if you can afford one, then why wouldn't you, right? Unless you just suddenly hated the Switch, why wouldn't you just get a Switch 2? You know more games are coming. You know you can play your existing games. I did, Slam, on your recommendation, try out like a list, a stack of games, just to see how they'd perform, and almost all of them perform better. The only one I mentioned was Xenoblade X doesn't have an update yet, but I tried like Dragon Quest Monsters, I tried Fire Emblem and Hyrule Warriors. I tried Pokemon. Oh my gosh, you were not kidding, dude.
It's
Pokemon
like a
Violet
brand
looks
new
like a
game.
brand new game. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was blown away. Running around, I'm like, oh my goodness, this
That
is
was a
beautiful. Like I didn't think that
great
I would
free
say that.
update. That was a great free update.
Yeah.
You know, because for the most part, the free updates are like I opened up Link's Awakening, and by the way, that art style, like up like at higher resolution and better frame rate, is gorgeous. But nothing hits quite as different as the base Switch running Pokemon Scarlet and Violet versus the Switch 2 running Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a
Night and
night and
day,
day
dude.
difference. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like Mario Kart, I know everybody wanted to have something to say about it. You had the false information about $90, and then everybody was like, okay, well, it's 80 and we're still angry. I guarantee you, either people were going for the Mario Kart bundle
I did.
or they just bought Mario Kart, right?
Yeah.
And it's a great game, man. I do have one thing to say though.
Sure.
I got to the special cup on Mario Kart. And one of the things I hate most about Mario Kart games are the blue shells. And you know what happened to me on Rainbow Road? On freaking Rainbow Road of all tracks.
It's the
I
best
got
Rainbow
hit.
Road too
I
of
am
all
not
time.
kidding. It is
It's so
beautiful,
good.
stunning. I got hit with six blue shells
No
and
way.
3 red shells on 50cc.
On 50cc.
Oh,
No.
Riddle me
awesome.
that, Batman.
I've been
Like,
playing
explain that to me.
Okay, so I have a few things to say about Mario Kart World, which I don't think it should be called that. I think it should actually be called Mario Kart Knockout Tour, because the shining star of Mario Kart World is Knockout Tour. It is so addictive, so fun, just completely off the wall insane. It's basically Mario Kart Battle Royale. And playing this online is the most, I can't explain this experience. You have to experience it for yourself. It's the most insane Mario Kart I've ever played. But to the $80 price point thing, and to it being the main launch title, I will say Mario Kart's great. It's a fun party title. Love getting the family together and playing Mario Kart, but I want a nice single player game to dig into, like a nice first party single player Nintendo game like Breath of the Wild or Super Mario 64, or say they like launched with Mario Kart and Donkey Kong Bonanza instead of making us wait a month for Donkey Kong, because Bonanza looks like, I believe, it hasn't been confirmed, but I believe it's likely to be developed by the 3D team that works on Mario. And if that's the case, like we have almost a guaranteed hit on our hands with that game. And I would love just a nice big single player Nintendo game to sink my teeth into. Luckily, I've been, spending hours and hours in Bravely Default and Rune Factory. But at the same time, yeah, it's a Nintendo Switch launch. It's a Nintendo launch of a Nintendo console. I dive into Mario Kart. I play probably 5-6 rounds of Knockout Tour or whatever, and then my thumb hurts, so I have to go play something else. But
yeah, I'm excited about Bonanza. And I mean, to be fair, we got Bonanza coming, we got like
Prime
Metroid
4,
Prime 4 coming, we got Pokemon ZA coming, which honestly, now that I've seen Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 2,
feel
I'm
a lot
like,
better about
no
it now.
concerns here. Yeah,
Yeah.
no concerns here for ZA. I think it's gonna look amazing.
Speaking of
So
Pokemon, can I throw in a little
Yeah.
wrench? I don't know if you guys talked about this last week, but how wild is it that Game Freak is making that game Beast
Oh
of
yeah, we talked about
Reincarnation?
that.
It looks
It's nuts.
amazing. And then
What?
we've got Pokemon that looks like ass.
Yeah.
Like, how is
Yeah.
this possible?
It's nuts. It's crazy.
yeah,
I would,
no, we definitely talked about that. It's like, who
Okay.
are you people? Like, what is this?
all of
It
us
just
spent
came out of nowhere too.
all of us spent all our time talking about, oh, Game Freak needs help. Maybe Monolith Soft can go help them out, or
Yeah.
whatever. They just can't figure it out. They just can't get it done. We were wrong. They clearly
we
can.
were so wrong.
They clearly can
Yeah.
figure it out. They clearly can get it right. They're just not.
They were just trolling us, dude. They were just trolling us. They're like, let's see
Yeah.
if we make them Scarlet and Violet. Let's see if they still buy it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they're just seeing what
Oh,
they can get
man.
away with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's not what they're doing, but I don't know. I'm definitely more confused than I've ever been on the state of Game Freak and their ability to develop, because that game looks amazing. So no idea.
Yeah, I think the launch of the Switch 2 went surprisingly well. I think, yeah, it sold great. The key thing here, and something that I hope continues going forward, is the backwards compatibility conversation. Like, having backwards compatibility on your system is a game changer, especially at launch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way that Nintendo handled backwards compatibility with the Switch 2 was great. And honestly, I couldn't have asked for more. But I know, like, a lot of people were complaining about some of the upgrades, but the amount of games that didn't require upgrades at all, that just were better in like every conceivable way, is it's a very long list. And like Brandon said, I sent 10, 15 games, all of them run better. And we didn't have to pay anything for that. You just boot them up on the Switch 2 and they run better. And I was sitting there thinking it would be totally a Nintendo thing for them to try really hard to force it to run like it ran on the Switch 1, even if it was more effort for them to do so. But
just
that
like
wasn't
block it.
Yeah, that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? A lot of these games are running 60 frames per second. Maybe they have higher resolution. And then there's a lot of free upgrades like Pokemon and Link's Awakening and stuff like that. I am disappointed that we had to pay for the Zelda upgrades, because all we really got with those was like a mobile app that I don't really like personally. But the games look great and they play really good.
It comes with NSO though, right? Did you confirm
Yeah,
that?
it does. But you would have,
Yeah,
if you don't have NSO, you have to pay $10, I think. So
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's just the state of gaming right now, where you're going to get all the benefits if you buy their stupid subscription service. And to be clear, I think NSO has plenty of value.
so
I'm
much value.
I'm
It's
poop
not
on
that
NSO.
expensive.
Yeah, I do appreciate it, but I also think that locking upgrades for free behind a service like that is, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't love it. Especially if like backwards compatibility is one of your selling points for the console. It's almost like developing a game that should have been free with the console, and then trying to sell it separately. But Nintendo would never do that. They would never do anything like that. So
I've heard from people that Welcome Tour game is a lot more robust than it originally seemed. I haven't like watched a review or anything, but people are like, "Oh, this is actually better than I thought."
Yeah, there's like a bunch of mini games.
I've heard
and stuff
good things
in there.
about it too, but
I haven't played it.
Still, like, Yeah, that's just it though. It's like I could be playing Bravely Default or Rune Factory or Mario Kart. Bonanza's going to be coming out, or get Welcome Tour. Like, what?
Yeah,
What's the sell for a Welcome Tour?
exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you on that one.
Yeah. Has anybody tried the what was that game called? The gimmicky mouse game with the
Oh, the Wheel Heroes or whatever, that
yeah,
one?
yeah. Yeah,
I don't know what
is
it's
that out?
called.
No, it's not out.
Oh, it's not out yet.
I think
Okay.
it comes out later.
Oh, I thought it'd be out. Okay.
No.
I was curious cuz I don't know.
I haven't heard
See
anything
if
about it.
people love that game. You know. Yeah, but
I'd
I've
be curious
been
what third-party games are selling well. Like when I see people's like big, oh, here's my Switch haul. I see a lot of people buying Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah,
I'd be curious how that's selling.
I
it's
did
because
buy
it's
it,
on the
and
card.
I've paid it. I've played it everywhere basically. I have it on PC. I played it on PS5, and I played it on Switch 2, and it runs so good on the Switch 2. No, it doesn't run at like 60 frames per second or whatever, but it's like a good 30, 40. You get 40 in performance mode, and it looks really, really good. It's very crisp. Yeah, probably the best open world game I've ever played on a handheld console before. I've tried to run Cyberpunk on the Steam Deck. It's terrible. It just doesn't really want to run all that well. I'm sure there's like a lot of little tweaks and stuff you can do to get it to run right, but
Slam,
I'm not
the
interested.
Steam Deck is way better than the Switch 2, and it makes the Switch 2 meaningless, man. How could you say that? Sorry,
No.
Snarky Brandon's out for this podcast, y'all.
No comment.
Oh man,
As
I
sit
do-
here
I'm
looking
pretty
at my
sure-
Steam Deck.
Yeah, as
I'm
someone
pretty
who
sure
has
someone-
a Steam Deck, I can say confidently, like, I enjoy the experience on the Switch 2 quite a bit more. And that's to say for a few reasons, right? One, it's far more portable. I mean, it's like it's not this huge brick type thing. Two, it's just got a lot less humps to jump through to get things running well on it. I think
Yeah.
the Steam Deck's at a point where it kind of needs a Steam Deck 2 type situation, because a lot of the new games that are coming out for it, you kind of have to jump through some hoops to get them running pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think someone said too, and I don't know if this is true, I haven't verified this, but someone was saying that the launch sales numbers for the Switch outperformed, or at least almost outperformed, the lifetime sales of the Steam Deck. Is that right?
Yeah, I think of all.
Probably.
Yeah. I think
Sounds
like
about
PC handhelds in general,
Yeah.
they haven't sold.
But you
all
know,
that
the
well.
internet, man, the internet really knows that the Switch 2 is gonna fail like the Wii U.
And
so-
then right the day after, or was it? It was right after the Switch 2 launched. Xbox announced their like partnership with Rogue Ally to make an Xbox handheld, and they kept calling it the Xbox handheld console, but it's not that. It's just a PC. It's another PC handheld with like some Xbox software on it. Because at a lot of the previews, they were like, "Oh, can you run your Xbox games on it?" The answer is no. You can run your PC games that you got through Xbox Store on the handheld.
Interesting.
So your actual Xbox console games do not run on it. And that means
That's lame.
yeah, your Xbox 3. It's just a Rogue Ally. Is all it is, with like a layer, like an Xbox button on it.
yeah. It's a rebranded Rogue Ally for sure.
Because I know there were rumors of Xbox doing a handheld.
There
and
were.
That's it. That's disappointing.
It's really bad. Yeah. I heard rumors of it too. I'm like, oh well, if those rumors were Xbox is making a handheld, and it ends up just being another handheld PC, because the saturation is getting crazy with those, by the way. I mean,
oh
Yeah.
my God, there's a million of them.
so many of them at this point.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of the
And-
same. Like some of them are like really expensive
Right.
and they play stuff better, but then you have to jump through extra hoops to get Steam running. So I think for my money, like just get a Steam Deck because it's got Steam OS installed, and a lot of the games, like you were saying, like, oh, you have to fiddle to get games to run correctly. That's true, but it seems like Steam is trying themselves.
Yeah, with the deck verified
like-
stuff.
Well, not only that, but I remember when Persona 3 Reload came out, it ran like ass on Steam Deck, but then they did some sort of back end thing, and then like the next day it ran like perfect. So
Nice.
there's something with the Linux software. I don't know anything about it, but I was just reading that they were doing something to make games run better if like something's getting popular. Like, oh, okay, let's step in and try to help.
Yeah, let's take care of it.
Obviously, something like the Switch 2 is much more seamless because you don't have to deal with any of that. But of the PC handhelds, it feels like the Steam Deck is probably the way to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
SteamOS is definitely the cleanest of the operating systems so far for running the games. I absolutely agree. And by the way, I am making fun of the internet for these stupid takes that you keep seeing all over the place, but I have a Steam Deck and I love my Steam Deck. I think there's a place for the Steam Deck. I like them both. I just think it's a really silly take for someone before the Switch 2 launches to be like, "Oh, it's gonna
There was a
fail, and
lot
you
of
don't
that
need this
too.
because there's a Steam Deck." Yeah,
There was a
it was
lot of
just
that
nonsense.
too. But the
All
Steam,
over Twitter and
I mean,
stuff.
the Steam Deck's not for like a mainstream audience. It's for the very dedicated individuals that
Yeah.
like spend a lot of time gaming, can love to tinker with stuff like that. And there are a lot of those
Yeah.
people out there. And
Yeah.
the Steam
And you
Deck
can
is
tweak
good for
stuff
that.
on there, like
It's so cool
Yeah.
some of the stuff you could do with that. I like
Yeah.
the
Can you
Get
get
Steam Deck.
mods
emulators
set
running on
up.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the big benefits too. Like even I've heard people talk about like playing the Final Fantasy series, right? Yes, you can get the whole thing on the Switch, but on the Steam Deck you can play those games. You can get mods on there. You can do some major things to especially like Final Fantasy 7 and 9 with texture packs and all this kind of stuff. So it's cool. You can do some really cool stuff on the Steam Deck for sure.
Yeah.
But
Well, to be fair, Brandon, you can't play all the Final Fantasies on Switch. You can't play the glorious 13 trilogy.
I love the
okay? You
13
can
trilogy.
Not
Someone
yet.
remaster that, please. Gosh. Come
you know
on.
it's coming, dude. You know it's coming.
Give
with
it.
with the
I'm
power
surprised they haven't
power of
done it.
the
It's the
Switch
only
2.
one.
Yeah.
You know, it needs it.
Like it's on. You can play those on Xbox because of their backwards compatibility thing, but not on. You can't even do it on PlayStation
I know.
or Switch. So I'm surprised they haven't done that for as much as people have been clamoring for those games. But
Do they not
we'll
have it on
see.
PlayStation? I thought they did.
No,
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 PlayStation.
only on
No.
Xbox. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's not even like a native port. It's
Oh.
just the 360 versions,
Yep.
and they like up-res them or whatever.
They released it on PC,
Interesting.
but I heard it doesn't
Yeah,
run well.
yeah.
Well, okay, I can't speak for the whole game. I started 13 and 13.2, and they both ran fine in the beginning.
Okay.
So maybe they didn't run well, and they do now. I'm not sure, but they seemed fine when I was tinkering with them.
I want to play those again.
I didn't try Lightning Returns though.
I love those games.
I've yet to play Lightning Returns. Yeah, I would go through them again if they re-release them because 13 currently in my mind doesn't sit very highly, and then 13.2
It's
I remember
amazing.
starting back in the day,
It's amazing.
and then there was like some roommate drama where like the TV was being hogged, and so I basically like let it go and didn't end up beating it. So I've never beat 13.2 or Lightning Returns. So I'd like to actually give those a full go because I've heard 13.2 is the best of the trilogy.
It is.
That's what I've heard too. I've beat 13 and Lightning Returns. Weirdly, I skipped the middle one. Yeah, Lightning Returns is so like the combat's amazing, but the game around it is like borderline pathetic. Like the production value is so bad. It's so clear they're just trying to like scrap together assets for a third game. Like it's really bad. But I've heard 13.2 is good.
Lightning
I'll,
Returns is
maybe
the
play it.
worst one in the trilogy, in my opinion. It is. I still loved it
But
because I was so heavily
think
invested already in these characters that I really, really, really liked. And 13.2 was
Hey,
so
you know what?
good. It was so good. I love 13.2.
I'm
sorry.
a Dirge Cerberus fan, so I feel you, Slam. I
Thanks.
feel you.
Thanks,
Dirge
buddy.
Cerberus for the win, buddy.
Hey, I like Dirge Cerberus too, actually. I really
Okay,
do.
Yeah.
real talk. When was the last time you guys played Dirge Cerberus?
Ages ago.
When I did my big video, I booted it up again, and to be fair, it was a lot more crusty than I remembered, but I got right back into it and I enjoyed it. But the biggest thing for me when I replayed it was I was like, "Oh man, this melee combat is so bad."
Oh yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah. but I
the
still like,
big
I don't know, muscle memory. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. No, I was gonna say the big revelation I had from that game was so in remake Intergrade when you play as Yuffie, she starts off with that like
Yep.
Moogle cloak thing. I'm like, oh, they added that. That's neat. But the first time they used that was in Dirge of Cerberus. I was
Yep.
like,
Yep.
what? That was like a revelation to me. I was like, wow, they
Yeah.
pulled that from Dirge. That's crazy.
Love
Yeah, no,
Dirge.
Yuffie's entire DLC was just straight up pulled from Dirge of Cerberus. Like, I, there wasn't much like I played through the DLC because I was like, I got to do this before Rebirth comes out, and I enjoyed it. It was
The
fun,
DLC was awesome.
but the character revelations and stuff were
Yeah.
that's what I was all about. The characters, I was just like, oh snap, they're actually bringing these guys in. So I want to see what they do with
Yeah,
that.
Deep Ground. What a deep cut. Not to throw a pun out there, but man, I can't believe they had Deep Ground in that game.
Yeah, yeah, it's good stuff, man. But on the Switch 2,
Yeah,
back to the Switch 2.
that was a great
Yeah,
trail off of. Yep, let's reel us back in. Somehow we
yeah.
made it to Dirge of Cerberus in Final Fantasy 13
Yeah.
too.
I have been locked in on Rune Factory 5. It's not Rune Factory 5. Oh my gosh, not that one.
That one wasn't very good in my opinion.
Guardians of Azuma. Okay, it was fun, but because you could break it so horribly early on in the game. But anyway, I digress. Guardians of Azuma has been so addicting. If anybody has played it or hasn't played it, you guys should definitely check it out.
I was playing it
I've been
today
in on that one.
when Brandon here hit me up
That's
on game
right.
chat.
Let's go.
We did game chat on the Switch too. He hit me up, and then we shared each other's screens and watched each other play video games at 4 frames per second.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
awesome. Slam got to see me. Keith got to see the legendary retro Brandon grind on
Bravely Default,
where I was literally just running in circles the entire time we were talking. Yep. Also, shout out to Square Enix. I got a code for Bravely Default. So I'm excited. I'm playing through that, and I'm gonna do a video on that one.
Yeah, it's very
That'll
good.
bring us to our key card conversation. But the game itself, man,
amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I just put up a review
So
because
good.
I got a code from Square Enix, shout out, at launch, and I played a ton of it over the last week, and I love it. I love the upgrades they made, the quality of life fixes, but honestly, like my favorite addition is, okay, if you want a boot camp on how to use the mouse controls for your Nintendo Switch 2, play these mini games on Bravely Default. This will teach you. You will become a pro at using the mouse controls in no time because they are hard. They're very difficult, and these mini games are just insane. You have to do this crazy thing where you're steering a ship, and watching my video because I put a portion in there of actually playing the mini games. You have one hand that's like pulling levers, right? You got another, because they'll tell you, oh, you got to pull this lever, you got to press this button, and then you got another hand that's trying to steer it, steer the ship. So you're pulling levers up and down with the mouse controls and steering the ship with the other hand with the mouse controls. It's insane. It'll drive you crazy. It'll probably make you want to throw it out the window. But by the time it's all said and done, you will know how to use the mouse controls in the Nintendo Switch 2. And
Dude,
yeah,
I'm so excited about that
it's so fun.
because I think I mentioned this before. I have a coffee table where the top of it lifts up and gets into like a table position. So it's like perfect for the Switch controls,
That's
for
what
the
you
mouse
need.
controls. Yeah, so
Also,
I'm super excited to get to that.
The Splatoon 3 got an update, and I don't know if anybody else is a fan of Splatoon, but I really like it. And one of the things I liked about aiming on the Switch 1 with Splatoon is you could use the gyro sensors in the controller to like do your aiming. You can use the mouse controls in Splatoon to do the aiming, and so yeah, that's pretty cool. Just wanted to say that.
That is pretty cool. Nice. Yeah, Bravely Default, dude. I love so the intro looks unbelievably good. I need to go back to the 3DS version and see
I
if they
did.
like either updated or changed some of the. Did they have that amount of voice acting in the 3DS version
No,
as well?
they did not.
Okay.
No, there's a lot of new
Really?
voice
'Cause, yeah,
acting in
there's
it. Yeah.
Same
it's
cast,
really really
same
good.
I
voice
do
actor.
believe so. I do believe it's same
I
cast, but
think
I'm not
so.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. At least his.
Almost the
He sounds the
entirety
same.
of Bravely Default 2 on the Switch 2 is voice acted. Almost the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But so it almost like to me right now so far it. I know technically, like if you want to be technical about remaster versus remake, this isn't a remake, but it feels pretty darn close to a remake. Like it looks really good. It plays really well. They did the town building segment in a really interesting way because on the
I
3DS, the way
agree.
you
Yeah.
did the town building
Street
was you
Pass.
had to actually have friends from Street Pass, exactly.
Mhm.
Oh,
And then that's how you would build up the town. And this one, you can have your actual friends. So I'm totally gonna throw this in my video, but I was able to summon Slam Zany, which was awesome. But you can find like other players in the world. They're like these little ghost-like characters, and then the more you add, the more you can like throw villagers at rebuilding. Because it'll do something like, hey, to rebuild this segment, it'll take whatever 30 hours. But if you have, let's call it 10 villagers, and you put all 10 to that task, you can drop it to like 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
And then it's real time,
cool.
and then once you build it, you get these perks, and you can get new items, or you can get new stat boosts, or different things like that. So I loved that in the original, and the way they implemented it in the Switch 2 version is so clean. And then they allow you to change the encounter rates, which is amazing for a grind
Grinding.
happy player like myself. Yeah.
Yes. Right?
Because what I can do
So
is I can
perfect.
do like job grinding, and then when I'm ready to move forward, I can just drop
Drop
it
it
to
to 50%.
50% encounter rate and just go straight through. Yeah.
It's
Um,
perfect.
so
The
I
best, dude.
I think it's like a perfect remaster of this game so far. And to be fair, I'm not super far yet, but I am loving it. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
That game, that's like a 10 out of 10 game, except the ending. And if anybody
Yeah.
that's beat the game knows what I'm
We
talking
know.
about, oh my god, the ending is awful.
They
I don't know
they
what they
added
were
they added
thinking.
an easy mode though. They added an easy mode.
Okay,
So
you can just fly through
that
it.
I
That's good.
know some people are going to be like, oh, well, I don't know, we're not in that era anymore. There used to be the era where you go on easy mode and be like, oh, get good, you're not a real player. But now I'm like, I've played the 3DS version. I know how hard those end game bosses can be, and easy mode sounds kind of nice.
Yeah,
And yet I'm still grinding like a maniac
I've beat
because I
it.
have a problem.
I beat it twice, and I'm going through on normal. I'm still I may knock it down to easy once I get toward the end to finish it off, but because I know that I mean the last probably 5 hours of that game is really really tough. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, beware.
Oh,
You know?
I mean, it's tough. That's not what I was talking about. That I
But
wasn't
I know
talking
you're
about
talking
how
about
hard
the
it was.
the way the
Yeah,
story ends. Yeah, I know. We
yeah,
won't
yeah,
get
yeah.
into
Okay,
that because I'm sure there's plenty of
yeah,
people that
yeah.
are playing it for the first
I
time.
haven't played it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, just
You know what's crazy is they did it twice. They did it with
with
the other
Bravely Second.
class.
Yeah, they did it. Bravely Second was worse than Bravely Default, I think. But yeah,
I don't know I don't know. I don't get that. I don't know what they were thinking.
hey, but the games are great, so don't let it
Yes, yeah,
deter
they are.
you.
I don't want to rain on it. That's like I credit that with like saving JRPGs, and I know that's like a crazy take, but we have
Turn-based,
to like remember
especially.
when that. Oh yeah, like when that game came out, like was that 2013 or back when it
2014.
came out on the
Yeah,
3DS?
I think it came out in
2014.
Japan in 2012, and then in the US in 2014.
Okay, that sounds right. Like JRPGs were like dead, especially on consoles. Like we had the 13 games, but like there was no Dragon Quest on home consoles. There's no Kingdom Hearts on home consoles. Persona was
Yep.
taking forever. It was bad, man. It was so bad. And then here comes this game that's like, oh yeah, we got this killer job system. You can speed up the turns. You have this Brave default system, which is super fresh, gorgeous music, world map. Like, oh my god, a
It was
revelation,
amazing.
Yeah,
man. Such a great
for
game.
those of you watching who haven't played any of the Bravely Default games or this one in particular, it's almost like they just went back to the drawing board and said, "Hey, you remember what was great about like Final Fantasy 1 through 5? We're gonna like take the job system, we're gonna enhance it, we're gonna add something unique to the turn-based system, and then give you like a classic Final Fantasy experience. Like they could have titled this Final Fantasy, and nobody would have batted an eye. The only thing that makes it distinct from a Final Fantasy game largely is the art style, to be honest, and maybe the pacing or things like that, but." You have the Crystal storyline, you have the jobs, you can mix and match. Like it's just classic Final Fantasy 5 plus. So that's what makes these games so much fun. That job system, especially, is just really, really well implemented.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, it's excellent.
And the Rune, like you said, the Rune Factory addiction is real. I mean, the split between action combat and like the whole farming life sim elements is perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's almost 50-50, and it's paced so that you can do whatever you want whenever you want. You know, you want to go out into the open areas, you want to grind a bit and like do some action combat and go find some resources and stuff. Go do it. You want to go sit down for a session, spend hours just building up your different towns. Go do that. You know what I mean? It's great.
It's such a major improvement from 5 too. Like I played 5, I enjoyed 5, and I haven't played the other ones, by the way. I'm not like a diehard Rune Factory guy. I just happened to play 5, and I enjoyed it, but it was like janky on so many levels, and you could find ways to just completely break the game by getting these like stupidly powerful weapons and things like that. But this game is so much tighter, and yeah, the pacing is so good, the characters are really good. I was gonna ask you guys, who's your favorite bachelorette and why is it Ulalaka?
It is. I mean, without question. I mean, that's the only right answer.
Yeah, that's like kind of the in the early game, it's the only like interesting character. Like Hina is boring, Iroha is not bad, but not as interesting. And then the other three girls aren't. Haven't even. I've seen them, but they're like not in the game yet. So like you can't interact with them or talk to them or anything. So the only viable option so far.
There's like when you play any of these farm type games, there's always characters where somebody's like, why weren't these characters romanceable? And there's a couple characters in what is it, the Summer Village, I think, where I was asking that question. I was just like, this seems like a character that should be romanceable, but they're not. So maybe it's just they've just been an extra thing for the dev team and they didn't need to do it. But
Brandon definitely had a thing for the psychic lady.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the old lady. Yeah. Why isn't she romanceable, man? I don't understand. Perfect. Everything I'm looking for in a woman.
She kept trying to get you to change your name. She asked like 20 times.
You mean my last name, ma'am?
Oh, sorry. We're just having fun over here.
You know, one thing I will say about this game, and I don't know if you guys play a lot of farming games, but one thing this game I feel like is going to ruin me for all other farming games is when you go to do a farming task like chop a tree or water a thing or mine an ore. In all the old games, you'd have to manually switch to the tool, then do it, and then manually switch to the other tool, do the next thing. It just contextually knows when you're doing the thing. And tools don't take up inventory space. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. You don't have to refill your water bucket. It just, you got water. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I love that because now.
And when you have the areas where you can do like I forget what it's called. It's like the farm view or something like that. Have you tried that?
Oh yeah.
If you have a plot, so I have one of the areas, I have a bunch of fields and a bunch of crops. If you go into that mode, you can just hold A and skim across the entire farm and it will just plop them up. And then you just like throw seeds down. Like it's
same for removing, you know, like if you want to remove a bunch of stuff.
Yep, you can do that for chopping, you can do it for everything.
I've never seen this. What is this? So there's like a farm mode. Is that the right bumper? Is that what you're talking about?
It's got its top-down mode where you can see everything, and it just gives you like this little cursor, And yeah, you can go through and remove stuff, add stuff. It's so much quicker and easier.
Yeah, for
What?
watering, you just hold A and you just skim over the fields and it will just water everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I need to
Yeah, you
figure out
gotta
how to
check
do
that
that
out, dude. It's
because
so convenient.
press in on the right
okay.
joystick.
Yeah, on the
Oh,
Switch, it's
like
the right joystick, and then you just tilt the camera
when you're
when you
doing
have
like the
the thing out.
farming mode or the
Yeah,
building mode?
the
Oh,
Yep,
when you have the hoe out?
yeah.
Okay.
yep, yep. Yeah, you gotta figure it
Wow.
out because it makes it that's gonna be the thing that spoils me for these other games because you don't even have to like walk around and pull them out anymore. You just go into that view. And honestly, the funny thing about it is like you're recruiting all of these like villagers and you can get them doing different tasks. And at least for Spring Village, which for me right now is the most well laid out of all of the villages that I've unlocked.
It is. Yeah, I think so
Yeah,
too.
same.
But
Yeah.
for Springville, like I have like 20 people, but every morning I'll go and do it because it also stops time. So I usually will
Mm.
just go to the plot and then I'll just like tear through all of the farming, crop gathering, chopping, everything. And then you can use your drum to get everything growing again. And sometimes you can get like another round. And then I'll just go do that in the other areas. And I can be done completely done farming in all 4 villages by like 9 o'clock or something
Yeah.
like that, like 9 a.m. And the only
Wow.
thing that makes it delay is if I decide to go like hang out with someone before I go do that stuff. It goes so quickly and so smoothly. It's amazing.
So
Wow. Oh, that's me. Okay.
one of the big
That's awesome.
things I liked about Guardians of Azuma is it's a fully physical game. And it has like a little
Mm.
booklet in there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they even had a booklet, bro. That
Yeah,
was
it was so
amazing.
cool with all the different towns and stuff and a bunch of information on some of the
Hmm.
characters. It was so cool.
Yeah,
But
that's the way
there's
to do it.
there's a lot of games that aren't all physical games. They're game key cards, and
Yeah.
so this is the ongoing conversation and probably the biggest disappointment of the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. And the thing that, oh man, it's got me in a dilemma on a lot of my game purchases. So let's kind of chat about game key card thoughts. So first, I do want to say I personally think that game key cards are better than just a code in a box, right? At least with game key
Yep.
cards, we
Agreed.
have the ability to sell, trade, lend, whatever. We can still do whatever we want with the game. And it's not tied to one account. My biggest gripe with digital stuff is it once you download it on that account, it's on that account. And I mean, even if you like got something happen to your console, you don't have access to this account anymore, whatever, you lose that game. It's done forever. At
Yeah.
least with the game key cards, you can take the card, put it in the Switch, and it'll just download the game for you, and then you use that as a key, right? But the downside of it, right, is that you're not getting the full physical game on the cartridge, and if storefronts go down, you need that digital download, right, to access the game, and that's unfortunate. And the biggest problem right now is when I first heard that this was going to be a thing, I heard it was announced and they showed a couple of game key cards. I thought, oh, this will just be a rare case scenario, right? Maybe 2 or 3 games out of like the 30 that launch will be game key cards, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. But what I'm seeing is the vast majority of games are game key cards. It doesn't seem like Nintendo first party games are going the game key card route at all. But a lot of the third parties that we have Yakuza 0, Street Fighter 6, Bravely Default, among many others, are being released as game key cards. So I pose the question to you, gentlemen. If a game that you really want to play on the Switch 2, and you want to play this on the Switch 2, right? You don't want to play it anywhere else. It's got that handheld appeal or whatever, and you really want to play it there. And it comes out on a game key card. Are you going to buy the game key card, buy it digitally, or skip the game altogether? Brandon, we'll start with you. I think I already know your answer.
No, you don't. I'm going to surprise you, Slam. No, so at this point, it's got to be really freaking compelling for me to get the game key card. Like I know this isn't going to happen, but if it was like Xenoblade Chronicles 4 is only a game key card, and that's what we see for the foreseeable future, I would buy the game key card because I would be so unbelievably hyped for whatever that would be, right? I wouldn't like it. I would probably complain about it, but I would probably do it because there's still some value in the game key card in that it's not a code in the box, right? I can still let somebody borrow it. I could still sell it if I want to. Like, functionally, it still acts more like a physical game than it does a digital game, even though it's not fully physical. Um, but I have to admit, man, like I am that consumer that, like, you see my collection of games. Like, I'm that consumer where if game key cards weren't a thing and everything was physical, my Switch 2 collection right now would probably be complete, to be completely honest with you. Like, I probably would have bought most, if not all, of the Switch 2 launch titles. Um, to start with, like from a collector standpoint and everything like that. But given the vast majority are these game key cards, I'm just not interested in games that would be exciting for me right now. Like Disgaea 7, for example, just got this like really cool deluxe edition, but it's a freaking key card. And I'm like, I'm just not gonna buy it. And like I haven't played a Disgaea game since Disgaea 2. Um, and so because it's Switch 2, it's early. It's the type of game that I would be like, oh, I remember Disgaea. I'm going to get 7 and see how it is. But now I'm just like, I'm probably not going to get it at all. Um, and I don't know if this is actually an indicator of things, but they announced it and it's been up and on their store. It's still like 100% in stock and it's been up for a minute. Um, I think I'm not the only one. I think there's a lot of people that are just like, nah, we're not here for the game key cards. And I think it goes back to what I've said before. Uh, the target audience, there isn't a strong target audience for key cards, right? Like I've said this before. If you're a physical buyer, um, then a game key card sucks because it's not truly physical, right? If you're a digital buyer, you're gonna buy digital anyway. Like you're not buying boxes. You don't want the plastic, right? You're gonna go digital. So game key cards are just like this weird thing that it seems like third-party developers feel like they have to do and buyers feel like they have to buy if they really want to play it because there's no other choice. And that's not a recipe for success. And frankly, sorry, this is a bit long-winded, but um, frankly, I'm a little bit concerned about Nintendo sort of shooting themselves in the foot here because one of the things that Nintendo has going into this generation is a strong relationship with third-party developers, probably stronger than Nintendo has ever had in any generation. And if we are in a situation where Nintendo has only given third-party developers keycard options or the 64 gigabyte option, and it's cheaper to do keycards, and the third parties decide to go with the cheaper option, even though it would make sense to have like much smaller carts, and then they don't get good sales on the Switch 2 because nobody wants to buy a keycard because there's no real audience for that at this point. Like, are party developers still going to be raring to go for the Switch 2? Like, I don't know. Give it a year or two, and they might just be like, I don't know, our sales kind of suck on the Switch. Like maybe this isn't the move, right? And then businesses will start to reconsider. So I personally feel like this was a terrible decision. This is a huge mistake, and Nintendo needs to roll that one back very quickly because I don't think the market is going to respond well to the key cards. Like whether or not I personally would be willing to cross that line, I'm sort of concerned from a broader business sense that this may not work out the way that anybody hoped for from a business standpoint.
How much of it is
So I have
communication too, right? Because PlayStation, Xbox, right? they don't have that whole thing on the box that says, hey, when you take this home, you're gonna have to put it in and you're gonna have to
Sure.
install a portion of this game, probably not the entirety of it, but you're gonna have to connect to the internet. You're gonna have to install this on your hard drive and download probably a portion of this game, right? But they don't say that on the box. So we don't know when we go in and we purchase a PS5 game, are we getting the full game on disc? Are we going to have to take it home and download some? We don't know until we put it in, right? So a lot of this frustration is it because of over communication by Nintendo? Is it because Nintendo has this huge label on every one of their boxes that says, "Hey, the full game is not on this cartridge," right? Had they decided not to do that, would this conversation still be happening?
I mean, probably not to the same degree. I don't think you probably have some voices out there highlighting that it's an issue, but like for me personally, and I can't speak for everybody, but um, one of the reasons I was so in on Switch Physical uh, during the PS5 era was because of that problem. Like, I hated getting a PS5 game, coming home, having to sit there for 2 hours before I could play the freaking game. And so, a lot of times, I was willing to take a hit from a performance or a visual standpoint for the sake of having it physically on the Switch, and of course, the Switch factor itself, right? And because of that, I built up a massive Switch library. Like, what you guys see here is only a fraction of my Switch library. Outside my office, I have a massive like bookcase of Switch games. Um, and that would be true for the Switch too as well. Like I said, I'm the type of consumer that would have gone way harder on the Switch 2 launch if there weren't so many key cards. So knowing that it's an issue like it is, because I think it's a valid point to say, Sony and Xbox have been doing this kind of thing for a while. I basically never buy Xbox physical games.
Oh
I
yeah.
have a Series X essentially for backwards compatibility at this point. Um, and PS5, I will buy games, but it's much more rare than my Nintendo purchases. Um,
I've almost gone
yeah.
completely
So
digital on my PS5 because of that whole thing, to be honest. What about you,
yeah.
Tay? How are you feeling?
Well, I think there's more of a nefarious reason behind the key card thing than people want to admit. But I have a question first before I get into that. Because in the past, the physical versions of some Switch games would be more expensive than the digital versions. Are those more expensive than digital, or are they usually the same price?
I think it's adjusted. I mean, Bravely Default's only 40. And then I think, it's kind of just varies. Yakuza 0, 60, you know, Tears of the Kingdom was 70, but that game was 70 when it came out on the Switch 1. So I think
But I mean, are the key card versions and the digital version of that
the
same
same
game different
price.
prices?
Same
They're
price.
yeah, they're the same
I
price?
think
Yeah.
Okay.
there aren't there some that are cheaper digitally, like by
No,
$10 or something, or no?
no,
Okay.
no.
I don't know where I got that
Okay.
info.
Because I remember on Switch the physical things were usually more expensive, by like maybe $10. So my theory is I wonder if Nintendo's doing this on purpose to push people to digital because it's more profitable. They don't have to deal with paying for cartridges and plastic and shipping and all that. And I bet you developers probably prefer that too, because they don't have to manufacture boxes and game key cards and stuff. So I wonder if this is like Nintendo's sneaky way of like, well, we've got it if you want it, but really we want you to buy physical. That's kind of my thought of what they're trying to do here. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I mean, I think
that's kind of
all
how
the
things are
companies
going.
want that, right? I think
Yeah.
Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. I mean, obviously, it's more profitable and more ideal for them if everybody just went all digital all the time. And they're probably of the mind frame thinking like, well, PC, Steam, and they've been doing this forever. Why do we still have to make physical games for consoles? Well, Nintendo's fan base has kind of like an expectation that's been set by Nintendo for generations and generations now that they cater very well to the crowd that collects physical. And me personally, I started building up my Switch collection again just last year, after stopping. And I only buy physical for Nintendo. I go all digital on everything
Yeah.
else. You know, I went purely physical for Nintendo for a while, and now I'm stuck in the situation where I want Yakuza 0, right? I like having a physical game for that, and I was like, do I buy the key card or do I just go and I buy it digitally? I still haven't bought the game yet because I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like this will
Yeah,
be the
I
first
think
thing. It's like once I buy one key card, I'm just cool with it. I'm gonna buy key cards now. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think Taylor, like I I think you could be right. I think it's a hard pill to swallow for Nintendo because they have been so outspoken and they've had metrics that have demonstrated that the physical audience on the Switch was a significant audience in the Switch era, right? The Switch 1 era. So when you have data like that and you have the kind of software sales that the Switch 1 was seeing, it to me again, it would be a really dumb move to be like, well, we could make slightly more money if everybody goes digital. So we're going to alienate over 50% of our audience. It was something like it was some crazy number. Like it was like 50% plus were buying physical for, and you got to look at the data right. Like Sony and Xbox were doing this wild thing, and I don't understand why. Like it just kind of got blown over. But they were doing this wild thing where they were like, oh, 80% of our audience is buying digital. But the data that they were using included games that didn't have a physical option, which is like
So many
if I'm being
games.
really
Disingenuous,
generous,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm being really generous, I'm like, you guys are getting it wrong. But I'm like, I guarantee you this is a narrative spin. Like, this is an example of a company that wants to push people towards digital. And so they're going to spin the narrative in such a way to make it look like when they're making these business decisions, it's because it's what the people want, right? Whereas with Nintendo, they had the data right. They were showing it correctly. There was a huge physical audience. So if it is in fact true that they are pushing things in that direction, that to me just reeks of a terrible business decision. Like when you are in a software or business environment, you're constantly looking at data to validate and make these business decisions. And something like that, like I said, there could be consequences that go far beyond the consumers with a decision like this that go to your relationship with your third parties, because if their games aren't selling on your platform, they're not going to care about your platform anymore, or they're not going to care about the next platform. So why would you alienate so much of your user base and piss off third parties that you've worked so hard to establish these relationships with, just to try to make a little bit more money by not having to print out the physicals? You know
So
what I
I
mean?
don't think I don't think Nintendo specifically has this outlook, this nefarious outlook. And the reason I don't think that is because all of their first party games are truly physical. They've done no key cards for first party Nintendo games. And I think
But they're the
that
ones providing the
yes,
options.
yes, but what I think was they did not expect third parties to choose that option so often. And I think this is an early launch thing where they're like, hey, we're giving third parties the option to do all physical. We're going to give key cards the option for those that aren't big, right? You got Bravely Default. What's the size of that game? Probably like 8 gigs tops,
Like
right?
10 gigs or something.
Yeah, right. So it's a 64 gig cart. So they're like, well, we want to have options for those smaller games. It's $40 or even indie games or whatever to have a physical edition of their game and not have to pay to have it on a 64 gig cart because that's what we have right now at launch. But what ended up happening was every third party ended up putting their game on a game key card. Street Fighter 6 had no business being on a game key card. It's a massive, we're talking about
Right.
Capcom.
Right.
We're talking about a massive company, and Street Fighter 6 is a big game. You know what I mean? It's just like it could take up a good portion of that 64 gig. So games like that had no business being Yakuza 0, another one, had no business being on a game key card. Games that I think the option was made for games that were more than likely just going to be purely digital, right? they're giving them a ulterior physical option. But it ended up kind of spinning out of control and becoming the primary way that third parties are using like the options that are given to them. I think that the pushback is going to be recognized. I think Nintendo is going to be smart enough to realize like these games have to be, game key cards have to be a lot more rare, right? Like not the primary physical output of Nintendo Switch 2 games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah.
it'll get fixed with time. I think this is a launch issue, and I don't think it continues going forward. That's my personal thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very generous outlook, and I appreciate that. I hope that's the case. I'll put it that way.
And they thought that they
but
were
yeah,
doing
I
right
think
by
one of
us
the-
by over communicating too, and I think that was a little bit of a mistake on their part too. You know what I mean? They got this big
Well,
block
okay.
at the
I
bottom.
mean, to be fair,
They
yeah, if
didn't
you're gonna
have.
do something like this, like communicating is, I appreciate that. That's the
Yeah, we do
communication thing is
appreciate
not
it,
not the
but
thing
does
that,
everyone?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, but like, if you don't like key cards, to me, it's a stupid argument to be like, well, they shouldn't have told us. Like,
Okay,
what? You're
that
still
is
getting a key card.
fair, but I'm talking from a business perspective. From a business perspective,
Oh, sure.
the other, like from a consumer perspective, yes, over communicate everything. I want to know it all, right?
Right.
And I think they did right by us by doing that. But from a business perspective, Sony and Microsoft felt no need to do that at any
Of course.
point that they decided to do this. And there are tons of people out there that think that they are still right now getting truly physical 100% games on discs when they buy a PS5 game.
Well, they
Because
think that until they pop it in and have
and
to
then
wait 2
have to,
hours to play.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's just one of those things. It's complicated
I
right
think-
now, but it's not, the game key card situation is not good for anybody. It's not good for Nintendo. It's not good for the third parties because the relationship with Nintendo is going to sour. Like you said, Brandon made a very good point there. And then also, it's not good for the consumers that want to collect physical. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Well, it's also like, it's not, in my mind, if I'm convinced that there is a chance that Nintendo will take the pushback and the feedback seriously, and therefore there is a chance that we could see a physical iteration of some of these games in the future, that makes me even less likely to purchase a key card, right? Like, I'll wait and see how this shakes out, right? Like, I'm very grateful that Square gave me a code for Bravely Default, and from a software perspective, I'm loving it. I would highly recommend it. It's a great time. But from a purchasing perspective, for me personally, it's on a key card. If there is a chance that I can get Bravely Default physical in the future because they change their minds, I'm going to sort of wait and see, right? If we get a few years in and it's not an option, I may go back and buy it if it's my only option. Like I said, this puts me in a weird situation where I don't like that it's a key card is the only option, but if it is my only option, like, it is what it is, right? But we're also, what, a few weeks in or a couple weeks in to launch. Has it even been 3 weeks? I think it's only been like 2
1 week
weeks,
and a
right?
couple days.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been like a week. So for me, there's no reason to throw money at some of these games if there is any chance that the very strong response that we're seeing is going to be paid attention to, right? Um, we'll see how this one shakes out. But Nintendo, for anybody watching or any other of the developers, I want to buy these games. I would just be much quicker to buy them if they were actually physical.
True that.
For all the Nintendo ninjas out there watching, hello, welcome.
They're out there.
They're out there.
I love it.
Yeah, but I think you're right, Slam. I think one of the big issues right now too is not just that key cards are an option. It's something like, what you said it earlier, right? Like of the announced Switch 2 games, like 6 of them are full and like 26 of them are key cards. That is
Yeah.
a wild ratio. Like that's unbelievable.
It's almost the entire
So-
third-party lineup. I mean, you've got the shining stars like
Yep.
Cyberpunk and Guardians of Azuma. But outside of that, the vast majority of them are game key cards.
And you know what? I'll just shout this out for Marvelous. Like I said, I'm not a diehard Rune Factory guy, but of all of the games that came out, Guardians of Azuma went to the top of my list because it was physical. And now I'm enjoying it. It's a great game. I'm glad I bought it.
I'm also
But
finding that
I may not have played it.
I'm also finding that
otherwise.
since all this conversation started, a lot of like the marketing push for the ones that went truly physical is that, hey, you want a truly physical game, come get our game, which I think is going to help in time. I do think that that's going to help. I think that it's going to help third parties when they see that, you know, kind of like extra little marketing push where it's like, you know what, let's cater to the physical collecting audience. It clearly worked for, you know, Cyberpunk and Rune Factory and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Like you said, it's only been a week. And, you know, for me, I haven't purchased any game key cards yet, but I want my Switch 2 collection to grow. You know what I mean? I want boxes on my shelf, you know, and
It's going to be okay, Slam. Hold
Well,
the line, buddy.
hold the line. Anything for you, Brandon?
I appreciate that. You know, you could just let your wicked and evil desires control you, and you can just go and do it anyway, and completely betray all of us. So that's up to you too. Still love you. Next week on Level Up Legacy, Slam got Yakuza 0, baby.
On the game key card, I'm gonna do an unboxing. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, yeah. But Tay, you don't have a Switch 2 yet, so I was wondering
I do
for
not.
you, what games are you excited about coming that would get you to pull the trigger on a Switch 2? Because we don't really have a lot for this year at this point, right?
Yeah,
We didn't
Bonanza,
see a lot
Metroid
in
Prime
all
4.
of the showcases that happened. Yeah, so we got Bonanza, Metroid Prime 4, and Pokemon, which I am excited about. I think I mentioned that earlier, but of the possibilities that we're kind of expecting, what would be the console seller for you?
Probably Fire Emblem. That's like the only slam
Word.
dunk that for sure would do it. Fire Emblem, whatever Monolith's working on. I'm trying to think because like Nintendo likes to do these little cute things where they'll like have like with Shin Megami Tensei, there's like certain franchise where it goes like PC Switch and then later it comes everywhere else. So if there's something like that, but then I don't know, like I would just play it on PC and Steam Deck because that's one less console I have to buy. But from Nintendo themselves, it'd probably have to be Fire Emblem or whatever Monolith's working on. Or if the next Zelda looks as amazing as Breath of the Wild. I loved Breath of the Wild. Like I got mega addicted to that. Tears of the Kingdom was good, but I don't think as good. I'm bad at making my own fun. I know people like the connecting mechanic. I was just like, what's the simplest way I can get this done with? That my brain doesn't work like that. But yeah, to answer your question, just Fire Emblem, Monolith, or some other exclusive Switch JRPG, whatever that may potentially be.
I do think that
Man.
we're still in for another showcase, like a Nintendo Direct or something this summer, right? They did the one before the Switch 2 launched, and then they had the one for the Mario Kart World showcase. But I do think now that the Switch 2 is out and it's sold really well, I think that, am I right in saying that there's been a new Zelda every year for like the last 4 or 5 years or something like that? I could be wrong, but we're thinking about Link's Awakening,
Cadence of Hyrule and stuff, then I think so.
Link's Awakening, Echoes of Wisdom, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. All those came out like what, 3 or 4 years apart? 4 years, maybe even more. I don't know. The Switch is so old.
And we had NSO.
Yeah. So listen, I think it's possible we get some sort of Zelda announcement, even if it's just like a spin-off or another 2D game. What?
We did. It's called Wind Waker.
Oh, and it plays really good, actually.
It
On the
does. It looks
GameCube
so
and
good.
SO, they did upgrade it. It looks very, very crisp. But I mean, I think something will come this fall. I think there is something more than just Pokemon. Metroid Prime 4 is obviously coming, but Metroid Prime is not, Metroid in general is not like this huge seller for Nintendo. So I do think, you know, it's also, isn't it a Mario anniversary or something this year? Maybe.
Probably.
You got to think that there, you know, maybe a 3D Mario coming up at some point. Maybe not this year. That'd be cool. But I'm hoping for something else to drop in the fall, because right now we just have, you know, Donkey Kong, Metroid, and Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, like, sometimes Nintendo does this thing where they hold off on certain releases or even announcing certain releases to let other games breathe. And I feel like Metroid Prime 4 is one of those where, as essentially a Switch 2 launch title, if they hold off a little bit until that sells, I think it could probably sell extraordinarily well because it's such an early console release. So I'm wondering if they're kind of holding their cards close to their chest to let that one go first, and then we'll hear something about whatever's coming next.
Yeah, I think you're probably
Boost
right.
the sales that way.
Donkey Kong Bonanza
And
looks
it's going to
really
be
cool.
fully physical.
Yep.
Yeah,
Donkey Kong 2.
down.
Donkey Kong 2.
Yep.
I'm really excited about Bonanza, man. I'm like counting down the days for that game. It looks so cool.
Yeah, that game looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna play a lot of Bonanza.
That game looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. We're gonna have a Bonanza podcast. It's gonna be a bonanza.
It's gonna be a level up legacy Bonanza.
That's right, Bonanza pudding, y'all.
Bonanza
Only
pudding.
like
We'll
5
all
people
eat
will get
banana
that
pudding
reference.
on the podcast. Vanilla wafers.
There
and
we
everything.
go.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Wait, Tay, can you get banana pudding in Korea? Can you make it?
Probably.
Yeah, I bet
right.
you could.
We're in.
If not, I
Good.
could just make it myself.
Yeah.
That's true.
I went to
true.
a barbecue place the other night and I saw banana pudding on the menu. And since we mentioned it in the podcast a few episodes ago, I was like, I must get that. And I thought to myself,
you?
I was like, yeah, I did. And it was amazing. It was so good. It was like some of the best banana pudding I've
Attaboy.
ever had. So, yeah.
Nice.
If you ever see banana pudding on the menu at a restaurant, just give it a chance. Could be the best thing you've ever had.
Take a picture of. You should have taken pictures. Get those on Twitter. Let's get the meme rolling, homie.
Yeah, banana pudding. Let's do it.
That's right. That's right. All right. There's a couple other items that I wanted to get to. At least one more, because Tay wasn't here for the Persona.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, I know we're running over time, but we're having a good time here, and I have to. I know that Tay over here is one of the biggest Persona 4 fans. You know, I've watched your videos for a long time, and I've respected your opinions on Persona 4, and I have to know,
because he's got good taste.
He does. What are your thoughts on Persona 4 Revival? The trailer, the thing that only lasted 20 seconds, was basically gone in a flash. What are your thoughts, buddy?
That was such a weird trailer.
Wasn't it?
So bizarre.
Yeah.
My guess is they were getting a little skittish with the leaks, and then this was weird. So like all the voice actors were coming out and like, I'm not in the remake. Oh, I'm also not in the remake.
Yeah.
And I was like, are they doing like a 4D chess move where it's like they haven't announced the game, but they're trying to like build some hype for it before the announcement? Because like these were like prominent voice actors. Like Yuri Lowenthal is like Spider-Man. Like he knows what he's doing. He's not gonna just ruin his reputation like that. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is like a big brain move to market the game. But then they show the game and it's like nothing. And I'm like, oh, this is like at least 2027, if not further.
Oh, that
Because
sucks too.
I went back and watched the Persona 3 Reload trailer, and they showed so much more.
Yeah.
They showed the UI, they showed character interactions, they had voice acting.
It's like 2
and then
minutes
they said
long.
early
Yep.
2024 or whatever. And this, they didn't show anything, man. They didn't even give a year. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but at the Xbox showcase, everything at least said 2026. This didn't even say that. So I'm like, oh boy, this is really far away. That all said, of course, it's probably going to be my new favorite game of all time when it comes out. Like, it'll be great. Like, people were pissed about 3 Reload. People will always find things to be annoyed about. I think that's the best way to play that game now.
Me too.
I had a great time with Reload. It was awesome.
I want to play it
I'm gonna
again.
love what they do. Oh yeah, it was great, and they didn't mess with the story. I think people were like, "Oh, they're gonna wokeify it and blah blah blah." Like, to me, it was the same exact thing from what I remembered. Like, I don't remember it
Same.
being any different. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of sensitive story beats in 4 that people are very concerned that they might mess with. Time will tell. I don't think they're gonna do that, but we'll see.
What did you think about
but
the
I'm
art
sure
style?
it'll be great.
It looked a lot different than 3 Reload and Royal, where they went more for like the cartoon anime aesthetic. This one looks a little bit more like the PS2 game. You know what I mean? It's hard to describe, but it looks quite a bit different. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
man. I think Taylor's right. I feel like it's like an early build.
You think it's going to look
that's what
completely
I'm
different than
chalking
what
it
it
up to
looked like in the trailer?
I don't know about completely different, but I think it will look different. I'll be looking forward to those. Like, hey, let's compare the final game to the reveal trailer kind of
Yeah.
videos, because I'm sure it'll be different. Like, the one thing I thought looked weird was the character's run cycle. To me, it looked a little like janky. I don't know how to describe it. It just didn't look right. I'm sure it's the exact same one from. They probably just reused the animations from Reload. I already saw this. This is funny. I already saw people. They found assets that were in Reload that they already reused in the trailer. Which, it's like, who cares? I don't really care about that kind of stuff. Like, ooh, a sign and a vending machine. Like, fine, reuse them. It doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
the same world. If people are gonna make the same vending machines, like, who cares? And they're probably gonna reuse a lot of the demons too, because they use a lot of the same demons. So I'm
Yep.
like, make it. Who cares? Like,
So what's taking
reuse it.
them
It doesn't
so
matter to
long?
me.
What's taking them so long?
I know. You know what? You know what really worried me is so after the director or whatever, the studio director put out a little message. He's like, "Oh, we're looking forward to the development and as well as the future development of the series." I'm like, please tell me you've at least started 6. Like, that would be crazy if they haven't started
Oh my
working
god,
on
man!
6 yet.
Persona
Which is
5 came out on the
possible.
PS3.
I
God.
know. It's crazy. Persona 6 might release on the PS6, which is insane.
Damn,
But
dude.
we'll see.
Let's not will that into existence. Let's not do that. But I mean, okay, to be fair to the people who get grumpy about like Reload and then P4 Revival, I could understand why they would be grumpy if these games have been pushing back 6. I can't imagine that wouldn't be the case, but in a scenario where 6 is not being like actively targeted and worked on because you're doing these remakes, I could understand why someone would be upset, given that Persona 5 was on the PS3.
I mean, a lot of people
Yeah,
are
even
upset
me.
about that. I mean, like on my video, I did like kind of like a reaction to the trailer, quick, thoughts on it, and a lot of comments were like, "Oh, well, we just put out Persona 6 already," and I feel that I want Persona 6 as much as the next guy, but Persona 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. It really is, and it is a really, really, really special game that really deserves love and care just from the standpoint of getting it out there to people that haven't had the opportunity to play it, or younger people that don't want to go back and play it because they're not into playing older retro games or whatever.
Nobody's like that, Slam. Everybody loves retro games.
I'll play the PS2. I'll play Persona 4 in its current state a million times over. I don't think there's anything terribly, terribly wrong with it. I think it's still great, but a remake would be unbelievable. Just imagine some of the cool things they could do with that game specifically. Yeah, I'm super hyped about Revival, and can't wait for the day that I boot that up. We might have to cancel all my appointments until I finish that game.
Yeah, and when it comes out, you can, show your grandkids and stuff like that. It's gonna be great.
Back in my day, I played
Back in my
Persona 4
day.
on the PS2.
What's a PS2?
Oh, dude, I'm already having those kinds of experiences with my nieces. Where I've talked about the Xbox 360 or the Wii or the PS3, and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" Don't do that to me. Or even just thinking about right now, my 4-year-old, is there while Daddy's got the Switch too, and I'm like, this is gonna be her NES for her generation.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like, yeah, back in my day when I was a kid, my dad had the Switch too. Could you believe that old retro system? Oh man, I feel so old.
Yeah,
I feel so old.
first system was the NES, and the first game I ever beat was Super Mario Brothers. It was at my grandma's house. They had that thing forever, and I just played Mario in some obscure baseball game that I can't remember. Believe me, I've gone out and tried to figure out what baseball game it was, and just can't figure it out.
It was probably just called baseball.
It might have been.
NES just had bowling and baseball and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then I got the Super Nintendo, and man, time
so good, dude.
Froze there for a second. Sorry.
That's a whole nother podcast in itself, reminiscing on
retro,
all of the old
stuff.
console experiences. Yeah,
that episode will be coming up. Good idea for an episode, buddy.
That's right. Let us know in the comments what you want to hear us talk about. Anything.
Drop
okay,
it down
not anything.
below.
Anything. Okay, not anything.
No, anything.
All right. So overall, really enjoying the Switch 2. Good stuff. We didn't really talk about the GameCube stuff, but just real quick, that GameCube controller is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It is so well crafted and feels so good in the hands.
I picked it up because I picked it up one night, and it was maybe 1 a.m. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna boot up Wind Waker because I played
that
Breath of the Wild.
Slam freaking zany.
Yeah, I don't sleep much, so I was like, I've played Breath of the Wild, I've played Link's Awakening, I've played Tears of the Kingdom, I've checked out these games. They all run great, they're beautiful, but what I haven't played is Wind Waker. And so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna open NSO, I'm gonna take out my GameCube controller, and I'm gonna boot up Wind Waker. I played it for 4 hours.
Sounds about right.
I could not put it down. I was like, dude, it looks so good, and that GameCube controller, it feels exactly like the original GameCube controller. No adjustments or improvements have been made to it. It's so GameCube, man. That C-stick feels so right. It's perfect. They perfectly recreated this GameCube controller, and playing Wind Waker with that thing brought back some really, really good memories, man. I just was on a nostalgia trip that night.
You can also change in Wind Waker specifically. You can invert the camera controls,
which you need to
through the NSO. Oh my gosh! When I first booted it up, I was like, I can't do this.
I'm so
anymore.
lost. I kept falling in the water.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my
exactly.
God.
Yeah. Oh man. So I was able to open it up and switch it, and I was like, oh, this is so
it's
nice.
So simple and easy to switch it too. You're just like beep 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 done, and then it's switched forever.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You never have to do it again. Oh,
it's so nice.
So perfect.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I'm super excited for the other ones coming out. Now that I've got my hands on it too, imagining Fire Emblem come out.
Yeah, Path of Radiance
and being able to do the rewind and all that stuff. Oh, it'll be so nice.
They look so.
And I don't know if they're ever gonna do this.
Go ahead. Oh, Jinx, you owe me
I
a
was
Coke,
just
No,
buddy.
you go ahead.
how about a bourbon? I don't know if they're gonna do this, but in the future, I would love to see them get to Wii on the NSO. First of all, I feel like with the Joy Cons, that shouldn't be a hard transition in theory.
I wouldn't think so.
But for Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, like I started playing Radiant Dawn again, and I beat Path of Radiance on hard mode. So I was like, I got this. Radiant Dawn, I decided to go in on normal mode because I haven't unlocked hard mode yet, apparently. And I got 4 chapters in and I was getting my butt handed to me.
Sounds
Just
about right.
straight up dying over and over and over again. And I was like, okay, I forgot how ridiculously hard this game is. And a lot of it is these like one small wrong move where I'm just in the wrong spot. And then because the difficulty with Radiant Dawn specifically is not the map as it stands when you walk in. It's that half the time there are extra reinforcements coming in like out of nowhere, all over the
Hate
place,
that
like
crap.
all over the map. Yeah, so you have, your healer standing over here out of the path of all of the existing enemies, and then all of a sudden, boop, there's like 5 enemies right here, and you can't get her out of the way, and either you die trying to defend the healer or the healer dies. Um, and so it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, oh man, the rewind feature would be so nice on this game because you basically need to lose over and over again to know when those things are going to happen on a map, or I don't know, play it really slowly, but then you don't get the bonus experience if you play it slowly. It's rough. It's by far of like the modern Fire Emblem games, or like the Fire Emblem games that came to America. It's by far the hardest of all of them.
Yeah.
So probably for your hardcore fans that played the old Japanese games, they're like, yeah, this is great. But for me, well, I love Fire Emblem, but I'm also a baby. So I'd like some way of making that a little bit easier.
Yeah. I just think
Fair enough.
I think the games on GameCube NSO look great. I'm really happy with how they handled that. So
Yep. I love these little rabbit trails we go down. Specifically me. I am the problem.
nah. That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about.
That's right. That's why we're doing a podcast instead of making a normal
Mhm.
video.
We do those too.
That's they're meant for rabbit hole. I mean, I listen to a weekly podcast. It's regularly 3.5 to 5 hours, and the first hour is just total nonsense. So
Shoot, Slam. We got another 3 hours, baby. Let's go.
yeah.
Nah,
Refill
Brandon
those
No, just
glasses,
kidding.
boy.
Brandon can't stay up that late. He can't stay up that late.
No, I need my beauty sleep after I finish my
Mhm.
bourbon. All right. Then I think we've probably hit our cap for now. Thank you everybody for watching. Let us know what you guys think about the Switch 2 in the comments down below. If you haven't gotten one yet, if you plan to get one, or for you guys out there, what game would be a console system seller for you, and why is it Fire Emblem? All right, Slam, where can everybody find you?
Slam Zany on all the things. Just put up the Bravely Default video. That one was a fun one. Love that game. I have some footage of the fun mini games in there, so go check those out if you're interested. But yeah,
Tay, where can everybody find you?
I'm just gonna plug YouTube this time. Just the gaming shelf on YouTube. If you haven't already, go watch Indie Quest. I also put out a video recently. I put out like a feedback poll right after the show, and so people voted on like their favorite games from the show. So that was kind of interesting to kind of sift
That's
through
cool.
and see what people liked the most. So if you're curious about what those numbers were, what people were most excited for, then check that video out also.
Word. And I'm Retro Brandon. You can find me on YouTube at Retro Brandon. Just dropped a top 10 retro RPGs that you can play on the Switch. That was a really fun one to make. So go check that one out if you haven't already. And let me know what you think. And otherwise, you can find me on Twitter, X as well. I think it's at Nova Brand. I'm already forgetting my Twitter handle. It's not Retro Brandon, but you'll see all of my stuff there. So go check me out over there as well. I will randomly post things and respond to people, and mostly interact with Slam for the most part. It's just what we do. It's what we do.
It's our
That's
own
why we have
little
a
corner
podcast.
of Twitter.
So
You know what I mean? Come
That's right.
join us.
that's right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Join us. Yeah. Thinking of that GIF. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll wrap this one up. We'll see you all next time.
See you on the next one.
All right, later.